Yeah, good to see you all again. Just wrapped up our season. So we are now officially in our off season, which is a nice time for us to take care of our bodies, to crush it with schoolwork as we've got finals coming up in the next couple weeks, but to prep for our spring off season and then next fall. And so we wrapped up with a match in Fargo down against against NDSU on Tuesday, and had some really amazing performances from some of our seniors. Caroline had one of her best offensive matches on the year, and absolutely crushed, hitting that 150 kills, 100 blocks, and 30 aces season. We saw Maddie Horniak, who was barely able to speak a week ago, go out and have a phenomenal defensive effort. I believe it was 15 digs on the night. And then Paige Barber had a really nice response after being sick over the last few weeks and came out and played really well also. With Lauren, I think she was one dig away from another double-double on the year, and Elizabeth Norris, again, doing what she does for us. And so, again, a nice chance for us to say goodbye to our four seniors, to Elizabeth and Maddie and Caroline and to Alexandria, as they capped off some pretty incredible careers, but also a chance for us to look forward and to get healthy and to spend some time really prepping for the spring, where we have so many people returning, but also we bring in Sadie and Kamani and Maddie, who will be joining us in January after graduating high school early. So really excited to get those three on campus, to get going with our spring competitions and our spring training block, and to prep for next fall.
You know, I feel like I'm familiar with a person here or there enrolling early. Three enrolling early. Is that a trend in college volleyball, or is that unique to you?
You know, we saw the advantages of that last year with Mariana coming in the spring, and it really helped her acclimate, both academically, but also just with her strength and conditioning and the speed of the game. And it's something that we've been seeing more and more in volleyball. The University of Nebraska has been doing it for the last few years, and then I think especially after COVID, when everybody had an entire fall season to train their freshmen before they actually had to compete in the spring COVID season. It was one of those things where, you know, volleyball as a collegiate sport has one of the shortest lead ups in practice times before competition begins. You know, football is also a fall sport, but they get time in the summer with their guys to work on some stuff. The basketballs feel like they have an entire year before they even start their season with their summer workouts and their fall workouts. And traditionally, we've had 17 days from the first practice to the first competition. And so we saw the advantage of having the waiver that expended that time, but we've also seen the advantage of having people that graduate early and come in the spring. Yeah, I think it's something that we're really excited that we've got athletes in our 24 class that have done that. We've got these three athletes in our 2025 class that have committed to coming in January. We've got some of our committed 2026 athletes that have expressed interest in doing that as well. But it's a massive advantage for them to get used to the pace of academics with college level, to get used to the pace of the game, to get stronger and to get on campus. It's all really, really beneficial. And so I think you've seen that really grow at the college level at D1 over the last few years, especially as the youth prep schedule has changed. They actually shortened the 18s club season, but the costs are the same. So when you look at tuition at UND and it's less expensive than paying for another club year, and the club year is only going to be 2 months in the spring, it makes a lot more sense to get to the college level, especially if you're academically in a place that you can do so.
It's hard to say mid-season, now that the season is over. What kind of impact did your freshman that got hurt for the whole year, how much did that impact you, and what's her outlook for a return here?
Yeah. You know, we just got to meet with Kala earlier in the week, and she is doing phenomenally well. Obviously, there's things that I can't talk about with her surgery or injury or anything like that, but she is ahead of schedule with her recovery, which we're really, really excited about. And, you know, the reality is that Kala statistically was on track to not only be on the all-freshman team, but to be in contention for freshman of the year, depending on how the team finished. And I fully believe that she was a player that was going to be in a position to do so had she had the opportunity to play the entire season. And she was incredibly impactful for us, especially in that non-conference stretch where we go 7-4 and we've got some really big marquee wins. Kala was statistically the best player on the team during that stretch. And so we saw the impact not only of when she went down. Vanessa Emo did a phenomenal job. She was named to the all-freshman team earlier this weekend. But Vanessa Emo did a great job in the role that she was in, but Kala was producing at an even more elite level. And so when you're losing sets by 2 points in extra points in the fifth set, and you know that Kala was probably worth about 1.5 to 2.5 points more per set than anybody that was going to come in and replace her, then you know that some of those matches would have gone another way, and that she would have been really productive for us in that sense. But also the impact that it had on the people around her. You know, we saw we saw athletes like Haroline and Paige, who then got even more attention and more focus from opposing block defenses. And so it made it more challenging for them to continue to produce at the same level that they were. And the cool thing is that they still scored at a really high rate. It just got more challenging, and their error rate went up as well, which is something that you would expect to happen when you've got 4 big hands in your face every time that you're taking a swing, like Paige was facing over the course of the year.
And maybe you hit on it with the spring season ahead, but what's your immediate attention turned towards? What's number one on your plate right now?
Yeah, I think back, this will be my 4th spring now at UND, and the first spring that I was here, we had 8 players on the roster. So we didn't even have enough to play 6-on-6 volleyball. And then the second spring, I believe we were at 11 players on the roster in the spring. So we had enough to play 6-on-6 if Kristen was dusting off her shoes and getting on the court, which is never a bad thing from a volleyball perspective, but it means we're giving less feedback to the athletes. And so this year we have 12 returning athletes plus our 3 incoming athletes, which means we'll have 15 people on the roster in the spring, which is going to be a huge advantage for us because we're going to be able to train as if we're in a full fall season, but with all of the extra time that we don't lose to traveling or playing in competitions on Thursdays and Saturdays. And the other part is that we have so many people coming back that it's not like we're starting at ground zero. We've got a really nice base to work off of with people that are coming back from injuries, that are coming back from really good seasons, but then adding 3 phenomenal young athletes that are going to help push the level even further. And so for us, it's can we continue to refine our systems? Can we get people all on the same page of how we want to play volleyball? But then really it's let's push the envelope of how far we can take it this spring, because we've never had the opportunity that we have this spring in terms of the number of people and the depth that we have.